This is not a remote viewing. Remote viewing is the use of extrasensory perception to obtain information from a distant time and place. But remote viewing is done on a blind target, where the remote viewer does not know ahead of time what the target is, and only finds out what the target was after the remote viewing is finished. This is not a remote viewing. This is more like a channeling. Here I knew beforehand what the target was that I wanted to access. This was not done blind, and therefore imagination and prior knowledge cannot be ruled out. But I want to tell the story of Charles. I was watching a documentary about archaeology from Britain, where they dug out floor tiles of a cloister from the 1300's. I stopped the video on a frame with the floor tiles and decided I wanted to transport myself into that time and place. I pressed a finger down on a floor tile and went there. Here is an illustrated presentation of the communication that followed between me and a man, Charles, from the cloister and monastery from the 1300's Britain. The pictures illustrate what I saw and was shown. Here I am speaking and reenacting what I said in the conversation, and I have taken what Charles said to me and have translated it into a voice so that you can hear our conversation. I am watching this documentary on archaeological excavations in Britain. They dig out this tile floor from a 14th century cloister. I decide I want to transport myself into that time and place. I put my finger down on a tile. Someone from the time approaches me and wants to offer me a tiny piece of cheese, but tells me that they are out of cheese. Someone then offers me fish to eat, which they have. I get the sense that cheese and fish were incredibly precious and scarce to them here. I would have literally been given only a tiny morsel of cheese, if they still had any, because it is so precious and scarce. I also sense that they would love to eat these foods themselves, but that they are obligated to offer their food to anyone who visits here, even if these people themselves will starve. I tell them that if I had a way to transport it to them, then I would buy for them a block of cheese. I ask if they like bitter or sweet cheese, and that I would bring fish and also a sweet apple for them to eat, if only I had a way to bring it to them. The person then tells me that they are not allowed to eat. They have to starve. They only eat what looks like a white, thin, runny porridge. They would not be allowed to eat cheese or fish, yet they are offering these precious foods to visitors to this place. Some type of self-harm ritual of the cloister, in the name of religion, that those who are here have to starve on purpose, even when food is available. With a religious ritual of kindness and giving, by offering cheese and fish to guests. I have never in my life felt how incredibly precious a tiny little morsel of cheese can be, like I felt it from this person, from this 1300's cloister, who had wanted to offer it to me, as if the tiniest little piece of cheese was the most delicious and coveted and precious thing in the world. The man who had offered me the cheese to eat tells me that he is not allowed to eat cheese, when I tell him that I wish I could bring him cheese and fish to eat.
I did this instead of going to the war. I'm happier here, happier than being clubbed to death. The king makes us do it, so I joined the convent. I'm happier here. The others, they can eat their food and watch us the rest of us others rot. I will not eat pie or be happy. I will stay safe here. It is for deserters of the army. For the king's men, they eat all our food, and they drink cups of wine, and they go into battle. And women have to bear children. That is their detriment. I do none of it, and so, for that matter, and purpose, I starve. So we will not be eating any cheese here, so here, I won't cry over it. I won't cry over a battle either. I am a deserter of the king's army.
So turns out that this young man had a choice to join the army and go out into battle, but he chose instead to live at the cloister, which I think had a monastery as well, on the same grounds, so that he does not have to join the army or be injured in a war. He also tells here that women, who do not go to war, of course, have the burden of childbirth, which in their times was dangerous and painful. Men who do not want to go to war, and women who do not want to have a dangerous childbirth, join the church, the monasteries and cloisters, and live a safer life. However, in return for choosing the easier life, they have to starve. The men who go to war get to eat all the good foods. There is a balance here with the way they do it.
We also don't get to have sex is for noble people, not for someone like me. So I have to live here and do work here. I don't mind it. I'm not getting raped either. It happens to some of the boys. I don't have to do it. In the barracks that they do it. They rape the boys there. That is why I left. I don't want to go there anymore. So now I am being called a deserter, one of the lost boys. I lost my life there almost. I'm now here in peace. I don't want to go out anymore. We have rats and mice to chase away. That's my main task here. I have to take out the detriment also.
Latrine in some kind of barrels.
I don't get to drink wine. I just chase the mice. I don't have a bad life here. I just only do what I'm told. When it rains, I get to go inside. I don't get wet out in the rains. I am not unhappy. I just don't get to eat the best foods. So that is why I offered it to you, to see if you would take it. Or, if you are a deserter also, if you do not get to have any. I don't want to eat pie anymore. I used to cry about it. My stomach used to be churning. I wanted to eat pie. They tell me not to eat it. I just have to chase the mice. The rats out of our building. I don't mind chasing mice. It gets better here than out there. I don't get to see any women. And I don't mind anymore. I wanted to have a farmer's wife. I wanted to be a married man. I don't cry about it anymore. I have to do my best life here. I have to live this way now. I have nothing else to do here. I have a good straw hat. I have good shoes on. What more could a man want? All right now, I am off to go chase the rats now. I don't want to argue with you, but your life is better than mine. I never had these nice things that you have. I never had so much gold and pottery. I see you have nice things. Do you have real jewellery in there?
He looks at my chocolate box that has jewelry inside. I had even forgotten I had it, but he found it immediately. Those are not valuable jewelry. They are all made out of cheap materials. There is no real gold there, and none of them were expensive. They just look pretty. I don't buy expensive jewelry.
I would like to tell you about a rat, and why I chase them. They eat our food otherwise, and they get into the wine and pee into it. That is all I do all day. I don't get to eat any good food here. They beat me sometimes for not working fast enough. And I have to get spat on sometimes, because they all call me a deserter. They don't want me in the army anyway. I wasn't strong enough to carry heavy things. The army gets good socks and boots, and I don't have any. I sometimes regret not enlisting, not enrolling with them. They get to have women, and all the other stuff that a man wants. I just get to read novel scriptures. And light the candles, but I do got my straw hat. I sing music too. And chimes. And then we get to eat dinner. We like your dangly bits.
Refers to my earrings jewelry in the chocolate box.
I was clubbed to death once, or I thought I died.
What happened when you were almost clubbed to death? Who did that to you and why? Do you want to tell me about it?
I almost lost my life. Then I came here to learn to read the scripture. I don't want any part of that world, but now I don't have women, and that is my only regret. I'm not supposed to say that, but a man wants to see breasts. I could have even had a mean woman, I don't mind. But now I don't have any, and I will never have any children, or watch them grow up. I will not eat cheese, or I just clean the cupboards. I'm just a warden of other people's food. I will not get to eat any. I just read the scriptures every day. And act as a warden. So, we do not like spies. Are you spying on us? Are you coming here? Are you reading with us?
I wish I could give you a better life.
You mean if I were noble like the king? I could live like that. If I had beautiful doors with inscriptions scripture
On the doors.
and good boots and a page.
Page is a young child boy who does chores for a personal servant.
I don't want to leave yet. I'm not finished with that place. I never got to drink wine. I just saw maggots and I chased them away from our breads. We had to burn them.
Maggots.
In the kiln. We cut a thin slice every day
of bread.
I didn't finish my life there. I never got to do more than read.
If I could, I would invite you to eat with me. I would have cheese and fish and wine on the table, and lots of different kinds of pies, all for you to eat. I would serve to you, I would pour you your wine, and I would cut you a thick slice of ham, and grilled fish and lots of cheese. That would make me happy. I could even give you nice boots.
No, you cannot afford it.
He is quiet and listens, but responds with this as soon as I say about the boots. Good boots must be incredibly expensive.
I sleep here all alone in my chamber. I have to get up before sundown.
What is your name?
Charles or Charlemagne.
I look up the name. Charlemagne means Charles the Great and was one specific person. Charles, however, has been a name already for hundreds of years before the 1300's.
Why do you live here?
Charles asks me about my home. I chose to live here.
Are you a bairn?
What is a bairn?
A virgin?
No, I have been with men.
But you are not married.
In my time and place, women do not have to be married to be with a man. We live more freely. Things have changed. We are fine with that.
So man can do whatever he likes with you and not take you to court. How does that work even? And can you have children like that?
A man cannot do anything he likes with me. It requires my consent and approval. I choose what man, and I choose what I do with a man, my body, my rules. And no, we do not have to be married. I can have children in any way that I want. I can marry a man and then have children, or I can have a child first and only afterwards marry the father of the child, or I can have a child and not marry the man.
We have women like that, in with the wine barrels, at the bars and pubs, in the slums.
I am not that kind of a woman.
Well, it sounds to me like it.
I am not, however.
Those are the women who are outcast. We do not live well with them. Those are the bar maidens. They have men for coins. They are bare-breasted often. They kill themselves after a while.
Why do the bar maidens themselves after a while?
I don't want to tell you about the
women's genitals. I get the impression that this topic about women is interesting to this young man, so he wants to talk about it, because he shared that he is not allowed to be with any women since he joined the cloister monastery for deserting the king's army.
I was once nearly clubbed to death for wanting to eat a fish. I regretted it, therefore. I nearly lost my fingers to it, and then I was called that I was fat. I was not let to eat for a long time after that. I was made to starve it out and to feed the children instead. So then I grew tired of wanting food. Now I just do, cleaning the pottery. I clean the glassware. I take the detriment out. I empty the barns of stool.
Animal manure.
I was beaten once. I nearly died.
I suddenly get the eerie thought that what if Charles really did die from the beating?
I only wanted an apple pie. I wanted a barmaiden once, but I cannot go out. I don't have but maggots here. And no pie. I have a barn to clean now. I must go. I cannot even eat the hazelnuts here. They are not ripe. I have nothing to eat but bread. I'm starving. I don't have any children. I have only hay here. And old pottery. And an old woman who comes to see me sometimes. She brings me straw figurines.
Small dolls made out of tied straw. Why does she bring you a straw doll? What are they for?
For chasing out the evil ills. They give us good fortune and good luck. I can get a better life with them. I don't even have to pay her. They were made out of cock's feather.
Rooster, the dolls.
They are a good luck charm. I can get golden wine with them.
With the dolls.
I was ripped apart once for saying the wrong thing. I made the wrong scripture said out loud. I was told to go.
Asked to leave for saying the wrong scripture.
I have lost one of my best tooth. You cannot come here anymore, they say. You are not welcome here. I have to leave. I've told you about breasts. I was not meant to.
You are all right. I have only listened to your private thoughts for a moment. It's okay.
I was never too brash. I would not be thrown into the fire. I will burn in hell for this. I will be punished for wanting bread and pie and wine, for wanting to eat foods that were not meant for me, for wanting a woman, for wanting good boots, for wanting to sing other songs than our chimes, for wanting to leave. I will burn. I will go to hell. I am a bad man. I will not sing any more here. I want to leave. This is not a happy place. I want to go to a bar. It is only that in a bar they fight. I don't want fights. That is why I am here. I wanted a peaceful place. I cannot be at peace here either.
Charles, I believe that all of our lives are us only learning how to love ourselves. That is our only mission in life, I believe. Just love yourself. The human world is a cruel place, and it is humans that make it into a cruel place.
Do you really think so?
He is surprised. About humans making the world a cruel place, he seemed to think that God made it so. I think so, because if humans would not do war, and if humans allowed you to live without fighting, he interrupts me.
I knew I should have run away into the forest. There is a band of brothers there, and they are all army deserters. I could have joined them. We do hunting together, and go to masonry. We look for work elsewhere. We join guilds. We join other bands. I could have joined a guild, but it costs money to be accepted into one.
Just love yourself, Charles. To me it sounds like none of this was your fault. To me it sounds like the human world is a cruel and evil place that denied you of your human rights. You should not have had to join the army if you did not feel that you fit there, and you should have always had enough food to eat. You could have even worked as a fisherman and provided more fish for people to eat, and made your contribution that way. There are so
I could
many
have made
ways to
pies.
contribute. He interrupted me as I was saying the last sentence. He spoke at the same time. You could have made pies, and then you would have a pie to eat every day.
Instead of reading this scripture,
I think so. I think you deserved to live a good and happy life. You could have had a wife and pies to eat, and good boots also.
and a cow, and cattle, and pasture land. Oh boy, that would have made me so rich. And my boys'
Sons.
would have been well off also. I tried to eat hazelnuts, but they were not ripe. And masonry is a good place to start. Are you saying to me that those are not real gold? I could have sold them.
He about the jewelry in my box. Those are not real gold, no.
They could still be sold for profit. I could need them more than you. I could buy a keg of wine, if you would help me with them.
I cannot bring them to you. If I could bring you some items, I would bring you wine and cheese and fish and also ham.
I don't have to read scripture anymore, they said. I can leave now this place. I can see the moon up in the sky. The moon tells me that now it is not time. The moon tells us the time. It tells us when to go and where to go to. We have to clean shrouds. I can ring the doorbell. I can chime for dinner. And then the monks all come here. And we eat dinner together. And if anyone speaks, they get beaten or have their eyes shaved out.
The eyes shaved out, what does that mean?
We are not allowed to use the toilet during dinner. If someone does, then they get their eyes shaved out. And that is a painful process.
Are the eyes removed from the head, or what does that mean?
We don't get to eat cow's meat or bulls. We don't get milk or apple pie or grapes to eat. We have to be quiet here and chase out all of the rodents. And sometimes we get bad teeth that are rotten. And some of the bad ones
Teeth.
fall out. Then we get a disease that has fever. The fever is the rot that tries to soil our limbs. We get rotting disease here easily. And Lyme's disease, we get unpleasantness and hiccups. We get rotting a lot, and it is because we are foul and a mess. Somebody who doesn't get the rotting disease is holy. The holy men are our monastery leaders. They do not get the rotting Lyme's disease. They are well, and it is because they are protected by God. We have to do favours for them. We bring them their meals, and they try to bless us all, but they can only bless a few. They have cleaner shrouds than ours.
So he explains that a person who for some reason does not get the diseases that they refer to as rotting is considered to be a holy person. Today we would just say he has a better immune system or is immune to some of those illnesses. Those become leaders in the monastery and are thought to be able to heal others. And we also learn that when someone gets a rotting disease, which can be something like a fever after having had a bad rotten tooth, it is thought to be because of character flaws and imperfections in that person. Remember, this is in the 1300s.
We are living in a rat-infested palace. The rats poo on our scripture pages. They gnaw on everything also. They try to take our boots. We have them. We have so much trouble for them. One time I got the fever illness, and our Pope, he laid me down to rest. I was very ill. I threw up, and I almost nearly defecated myself. I thought I would rot away, but then they brought me a healing tincture, and my head felt better. They were healing me. They know how to heal ills. I read the pages afterwards, and I've never read them so fast. I wanted to know everything, that would keep me alive. I felt hungry after that. Old women are witches, did you know that? I went to one.
Old woman.
She brought me a doll so that I could speak my...
I forgot the word he used. Some kind of incantations or spells with the doll.
I nearly lost my fingers once because it got so dang cold. I was harmed by the fever. I nearly could not even walk for days. And I had to have help to go defecate. We get maggots inside us. They take us out of the temple then. We have to burn for our ills. That is why we get hot. The tinctures help. The tinctures, they are filled with incantations that take the hot fever and hot blemishes away. I had to drink a lot of water with a resilience potion. And then I didn't throw up anymore. We think women are pretty. Women, they are almost always clean. They can do no wrong. Most women are right. They just get something wrong and wicked with their head. Women need help with that to set them straight if they start talking bad. But women never punch someone in the stomach. They never do ills like that. So women are not blamed for most ills of the world. The sinners are many. We have to get them
Sinners.
out of here. We drive them
Sinners.
out of our towns. We don't marry them.
Sinners not allowed to marry or integrate into the population.
Sinners bring maggots to us. They place maggots into our bread. It is a manifestation of God's punishment. It brings maggots into us also. Maggots into our guts, maggots into our feces, maggots into our skulls, maggots into our food, maggots everywhere, and even in our soil. We need to live clean or the Ripper comes. The Ripper comes for children first, and we bury them out by the ploughed fields, and no one gets to learn their name.
Names of children that died, and those children that died would not be spoken about.
The wickedness brings it about. We have to stop it. We have to bring peace to these lands. We end the wickedness now. We end it, and then we have the peacetime. We bring peace to these lands, and then we can get to eat cheese. Once the maggots are all gotten rid of, we get to drink wine in God's heaven. There are carts there filled with jewels, and women in abundance that we can see, and all of those beautiful faces, and no maggots and no violent gangs, no violence, no putrid, and no rape. No ills of all of the worlds, no maggots in our foods, no temples that are taken down, only jewellery and benign people. No ills of our worlds, no gangs busting doors open and taking all the jewels, no boys being treated badly, no songs that we have to sing, no bad beds filled with
A word that means either vomit or pee or both. A dirty bed.
no harm to our men, no harm to our ladies, no ills to our child, no child born dead, no ill death, no ills or harms, no maggots in our putrid flesh. Only bairns equipped with all of gold.
Bairns meant children.
And so that is why I wanted to take your jewellery, to bring it to its rightful place, to bring it to me here so that I could have gold. Those are pretty, they are of a good design.
Those jewelry in the box are cheap trinkets and earrings that are not worth much money at all in our time. But I do admit that some of them look very expensive, and in their time they must have been precious, at least because of the design. I have to close this connection now, even though Charles would have kept talking. Otherwise, it can go on for hours.